Feminist content creator Zahn put out an amazing blog post. It says it doesn't matter that she should have picked better, it matters that he abused her. She should have known better is wholly irrelevant to discussions of men's abusive behaviors. So, as you can see, we're talking victim blaming. It's cut off at the top, but it says she should have seen this coming. It's the go-to line for victim blamers. In less than a second, they manage to distance themselves from the victim, blame her for her own abuse, and imply she deserves whatever happens to her because of a momentary lapse of judgment, as if there's anyone in the world who willingly, knowingly, freely chooses abuse. This might also sound like women just need to choose better men. She should have left at the first red flag. If she didn't leave at the first sign of abuse, is she really a victim at all? Women need to take accountability for being attracted to bad boys. Women hate nice guys. She should have seen the warning signs. In the feminist movement, we spend a lot of time educating people about why women don't leave, how women are socialized not to recognize abuse, and why patriarchy pushes women into bad relationships. I think we're wasting our time because the correct response to the notion that women know or should know that a man might be abusive is this: so what? So effing what if she made a bad decision? So what if she didn't recognize the signs, or did recognize the signs and thought she could fix him? So what if she gave him a chance because she's been told by the patriarchy to do that? Why is this at all relevant to whether she deserves help now, or whether patriarchy is a problem, or to any discussion at all of men's abuse of women? Baked into the idea that women choose the wrong men is the notion that if a woman makes a bad decision, the appropriate penalty is for her to have her entire life destroyed and potentially lose her life. It's notable that the people who criticize women for picking the wrong men are often the very same people who also criticize women for being too cautious. It's not all men, but also you need to give men a chance. But also, if you give them the wrong chance, you deserve to be abused forever and shamed by anyone from whom you seek help. Because, of course, this nonsense isn't really about the belief that women pick badly. That's just a red herring. The goal is to shut down women's complaints and redirect blame to them, because patriarchy will weaponize everything it can, and in a patriarchy, women aren't allowed to complain. So let's take seriously the notion that men never conceal their abusive tendencies and women knowingly choose their abusers. Okay. That changes nothing in the moral, philosophical, or legal calculus here, because men are still abusing women at astonishing rates, and it's still men causing the abuse. The reason nearly every woman eventually runs into an abuser is that we excuse and expect abuse from men. Patriarchy tells us that we can't expect men to change, and certainly cannot demand they make any sacrifices for women. Patriarchy tells us that no matter how unreasonably or violently men behave, it's a woman's job to adapt and never ever point the finger at men. This is the real reason we talk constantly about what women should do differently. In a safe society, people can make bad decisions or have momentary lapses in judgment. In a decent society, women shouldn't have to be so hyper-vigilant that a slip-up costs them their future. Women should be able to date freely without ever encountering abusive men, because there should be no abusive men. The clearest sign that things have gone horribly awry is that we have to resort to telling women to choose better. Choosing better only matters when most choices available to women are stunningly terrible. If men were less monstrous, women wouldn't need to worry about choosing better. We don't tell kids in malaria-riddled areas to choose safer sleeping locations or to move away from the mosquitoes because there's nowhere they can fully be safe, just as patriarchy renders women's lives unsafe. That will always and forever be the fault of men. And it will never change until we start demanding change from the people who actually caused this problem. So effing what if she chose badly? Abuse should never have been an available choice. Well, actually, we do, because victim blaming is baked into supremacy culture, but the foolishness of doing so should be obvious. So, that is her blog post, and I do want to do a few of her comments that I saw. This makes me sad for this woman. Celine says, I agree completely, especially because in my experience, when a woman finally leaves her abuser, he creates a narrative of her being crazy or a bad person, and all of their family and friends believe it. My own mother and my young adult children, who should know better, believed my ex, and they still do to this day, over 10 years later. They worship him like the supply-needing narcissist that he is. We need to normalize believing what women say and stop blaming them for the abuse they and often their children endure. So when people, when narcissists put on different masks, they do so because they want to make sure that their victims can't reach out to people. So that's the reason why they'll do stuff like be giving or volunteer or just be the life of the party, because when that woman finally decides to leave, they'll be like, they don't believe that he is capable of doing that because he was always such an amazing person. Zahn says, I'm so sorry your children believe your ex. That must be so devastating. I and the rest of us here believe you. Your story matters. You matter. Lynn says to Celine, I'm very sorry that you had to deal with that. I also have an ex that my family believed, and I lost them to him. Women who leave men for any reason, even if it's just because they weren't feeling it, are in danger of being labeled high maintenance or crazy. I don't date anymore by choice, but when I did, I would estimate that at least 75% of men I dated said they had a crazy ex. Were I to date again, that would probably be a disqualifying question I'd ask before agreeing to go out with someone. The whole I'm not dating anymore by choice, that is so many women across so many different platforms that we're seeing. So many women have dated men, and because of that, they are saying, I'm good on that. Celine says, thank you, and I agree. Any man who says he had a crazy ex is bad news. I, too, am done dating. Aquatofina Lexia says, okay, now that's a name. How about instead of blaming women for picking bad men, we look out there and see that there are just too many damned bad men to choose from, and that these men, being bad, are going to try, of course, to hide their real selves from women until they have secured them emotionally, financially, sexually, etc. Then they reveal their true selves. So it's not women choosing bad men that they clearly see are bad and presenting as bad. It's men being bad in the first place and then lying, hiding, and betraying women's trust in them. They create a facade for women to fall for and then blame the woman for falling in love with them. But the whole facade was created for that purpose. Breathes fire. Because that's absolutely right. They wear a mask. How are women supposed to vet a liar? That's one of the things that I keep saying. How do you vet a liar? No man is just walking around showing that he's abusive, and women are just choosing to live and love and be with abusive men. That's absolutely not happening. And then Emily says, thank you. Growing up evangelical and deep in the cult at that made it so some of us like me truly didn't know better. We thought we were following all the right rules, and now there's just so little care that we're stuck as trad wives and in abusive relationships because we should have known better. Trad wives, being evangelical, it socializes the common sense out of you. There's no common sense when you're socialized to put men above you, to defer to them, to be submissive. There's no common sense to be had. There's no foundation of knowing what healthy looks like. All right, y'all, chime in. Let me know what you think about this one. Don't forget to like, comment, and share.
Ladies, this man is living proof that a man can be a multimillionaire and his word still isn't worth a damn. If you don't recognize him like I didn't, this is MPJ, Michael Porter Jr. He is an NBA player and currently plays for the Brooklyn Nets. This man is worth about $200 million and recently had a lot to say when he was on the Respectfully podcast. Now, of all the topics in the world, as you can see from the photo, MPJ really wanted to talk about his ex. Now, Michael says he really likes to provide for his women, so when he was dating her, he offered to help her pay for an apartment. The apartment they looked at was well out of her budget, and she told him that, but he assured her that he would help her pay half. However, the next part gets a little dodgy. You see, he promised her that he would help her pay for the apartment even if they broke up, because she had to sign a lease for a year. Well, guess what? 5 to 6 months in, of course, they do end up breaking up. And Michael mentions the fact that she reached out for him looking to get the bread, which is a weird way to say the money that you promised you would give her, whether you were broken up or not. But here's the funny thing. Michael said he's not going to just give her that money. He's not going to give her a lump sum. No, no, no. It's going to have to be a month by month situation. Why? Because his ex has to act right month by month. And that's going to decide whether or not he gives her the money she needs to pay her rent for the lease that she's on. He says, quote, "If you're out here wildin', get the next dude to pay the rent." Yeah, so this $200 million millionaire who told his girlfriend at the time he would absolutely help her pay, despite being broken up or not, on the legally binding lease that she's in for a year, now gets to completely financially control her. If she doesn't act in the way that he likes, he's gonna pull that funding. Reminder, they are completely broken up. But if she's out here wildin', he's going to take her home from her. What a catch, am I right? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And a reminder, this is what happens when you date men with money. A gift can easily become a weapon. Ugh.